Merhabalar, my friends, and welcome to the city center of old Istanbul, one of my favorite cities on the planet. Today, we're talking what's going on in Istanbul 2022. We're talking hot takes. I'm gonna give you my opinion on the current state of affairs here in Turkey, why I find it so goddamn delightful, and why this city is a must-see in the year 2022. Let's do it. So here we are, guys. We are in Taksim Square. If you don't know much about Turkey, this is one of the most famous locations in the entire country. It's a big open plaza with a large mosque at the other end, very patriotic stuff, and a very notorious statue right here dedicated to Mustafa Kemal Ataturk and the foundation of the Turkish state. Now, this square is really important for discussing Turkish politics because basically every time there's some sort of problem here in Turkey where people are protesting, where people are coming out in the city of Istanbul, a city of 22 million people, they are coming to Taksim Square. They're standing here in front of these various government buildings. You can see a massive Turkish flag over here. And this is where it all goes. You'll always find ambulances, people, lots of stuff going on here, and of course a lot of police. There would not be a city center in a, let's call it, Middle Eastern country without a lot of police, as this is one of the most touristed cities probably in the world. The truth is, since I last lived here just, I don't know, 12, 14 months ago, a lot in Turkey has changed. And if you're up to any, or if you know anything specifically about Turkish politics or about Turkish society, you'll know that the Turks are not experiencing a very good economic time. Since I was last here, the Turkish lira was 9 Turkish lira to 1 US dollar, and now that number has skyrocketed to nearly 14 Turkish lira to 1 US dollar. So that means their economy in less than 1 year, basically, decreased in value by half, at least as we're talking about the value of their currency. Some might call this inflation, others might call this an economic crisis. What's happening in Turkey is that life here has gotten very expensive for the locals, and they have lost their ability to really travel abroad because their money has completely devalued. So for the foreigner that comes here, they can take advantage of this because things are really cheap, much cheaper than they were the last time I was here. But that means that the local Turkish people, everything is expensive. And talking to my friends, talking to all the people who are living here, many people are suffering. The pensions aren't high enough, the job salaries aren't high enough. So even in the winter here, especially in Istanbul, it gets quite cold. People, living not maybe in this area because it's a very expensive area, but other areas, aren't using their heat, their electricity as often, they're unable to buy as much food, they're unable to eat out as much, and the overall quality of life, even in a major player, in the world, Turkey, is it's become really affected by this. So what caused this economic crisis is the question many people have, and the answer is very complicated. The government here has been running through economic advisors like they've been running through bad girlfriends. They've had, I guess, 5 in the last 3 or 4 years, and one of the more recent ones only lasted 2 months. So the Erdogan regime clearly doesn't really understand what their fiscal policy should be in order to keep their country stable. One part of this, we can say, of course, the world had some sort of economic downturn due to, of course, the COVID crisis. But in Istanbul, everything here is very functional. So I don't think any government, for example, can blame COVID anymore. As you can see here, in the square, it's, it's a city of 22 million people. It's packed, and that's the whole point of Istanbul. It's a very packed, very aggressive experience. So I would say the COVID problem probably started it, but didn't necessarily create the situation we're in today. Part of it could be with the role of Turkey in the inter-Russian NATO sphere. Of course, Turkey is a member of NATO, but Turkey, over the last last 5 or 6 years, has been pushing away from its NATO allies a little bit and aligning itself more with Russia, as Putin and Erdogan seem to have a pretty good friendship going on, or at least they're kind of seeing eye to eye, as they both are, very controlling and powerful men in their respective areas. The long story, super short, is that the government is not doing much to fix this problem, and the Turks are really on the edge of it becoming rampantly out of control, as if the currency continues to devalue or to devalue or inflate. Then that means that people will not be able to afford basic goods. And as the average salary here in Turkey, especially in Istanbul, is around $800 a month, sometimes even less, and in the other parts of Turkey, even less than that, you know, $400, $300 a month. If you can't, you know, buy bread and water for your family, there's really not much they can do except riot or start some sort of problem. So I would make a little argument that Turkey is in a very precarious position, as they are on the brink of something, I don't know, something serious. The thing is that you know, walking around here, you know, you see people walking, it's normal and everything, it feels normal, but this is the tourist center, and when you go to the other parts of Istanbul, the more local areas, you can really feel people, you can feel the suffering, you can really understand the problems. And if I talk to my Turkish friends about it, they always say, man, everything is so expensive, I can't go out as much as I used to, I don't go party anymore, you know, my parents had to really cut back, we had to sell our flat, we had to sell our house. So the valuation on some of this stuff really has like some serious consequences for people in the lower third of society, especially students and especially pensioners, where the pension salary is already very low, but that meager salary has not changed with the inflation, so people are still having incredible problems affording things. I think the most interesting thing for me is that I've never met an Erdogan supporter. I've talked to lots of Russians and I've met Putin supporters, but it's really uncommon to meet someone like that. And I realize I probably shouldn't be talking so loudly because can't really do that here in public. But I don't know, all of my young friends, they're very unhappy with the government, and it's felt. So, and they're being heard, but in a way that's not necessarily changing much. So many people are waiting just for something to happen here. Will it be another coup attempt like in 2016? Will it be some sort of civil movement? Will it be the deposing of the current president? Will it just be more of the same? It's really hard to say, but it's tough times here. Very tough times, even if it doesn't look like it. So moving on, now I'm going to take you to Old Istiklal Street. This is the kind of Times Square, if there was one, in Istanbul. And so here you get thousands and thousands and thousands of people walking over this about 1 kilometer strip, and it has the ancient tramline way that is used by the still functional trams that are very, very cute and very Istanbul. It's very nationalist. You got the flags, and then, you know, you have all of the Turkish restaurants, you have lots of different food options, you can buy the different sweets and street snacks, all of that good stuff. If you need to find anything on the European side of Istanbul, this is the place for you. What I love about this street is that they keep things like this, the simitci, where you can get the traditional simit, these little bread rolls, and they keep the traditional carts. And then if you're looking at the, let's say, the architecture, you can see the buildings look very European style. So they call this the European side, of course, and as Istanbul was becoming a modern city in the early 1900s, and of course during the Ataturk times, they renovated a lot of this to mimic what was happening in Europe. So you got the modern stores on the bottom, and you've got the beautiful European style buildings up top. Very, very good. And the best part about it is they have all of these food places you can see from the window. So you can see what's going on, you can watch them do the food. It's all very delicious. This is also a hot spot for scammers and people who try to rob you, probably the most in the entire city. So that's definitely something to be aware of. But other than that, come down here, shop, enjoy the city. And this is really why I love Istanbul. It's got so much energy and vibe and passion all the time. There's music, there's people eating on the street. You can exchange your currency over here, buy some jewelry for the wife, and this area just has so much life. The reason I really love Istanbul is because the city has so many different little pockets that are totally different. So here very like New Yorker feeling, like very big, very fast. If you go to Beşiktaş or to Kadıköy, a little bit more chill, a lot of like people tattooed, hipsters, you know, like drinking beers, having some tea. It's a very different vibe. And if you go to, for example, Üsküdar, or you go to Fatih, you can find the Arab communities, the more conservative Turkish communities, which are doing more traditional lifestyles, very, very Turkish. So Istanbul has endless amounts of pockets, not of just like vibes, but also of just what you can find there. Are people living local Turkish lives? Are people living international European style lives? It's all very exciting. For me, I think Istanbul in a way is the perfect city. It's got crazy energy, but it's also got places to chill. It's got the city vibe, but it also has the Bosphorus Strait, so you can see the water. It has ancient history and also modernity. It's got local culture and also influences from around the world. So there's no time for you to get bored in this city, and there's no way, even if you live here for 10 years, that you could explore everything. So my hope is that Istanbul remains open, that Turkey remains intact, because they're having a tough go right now, and things can change very quickly, especially in this part of the world, as they have been for the last couple thousand years. I think the funniest thing you can find here on Istiklal Street, because there's so many tourists, is the amount of people doing cosmetic surgery. Istanbul has become one of the main hubs for cosmetic surgery all around the world. And if you look properly, you'll see a lot of men with hair transplant procedures and a lot of women who have broken faces from the nose jobs, which I always find incredibly hilarious. And the secondary part why I love this street is not only do they have great food, but they also have amazing desserts and sweets that you can see that are tempting you all the time. You know, the old baklava. Look at these things. Look at this stack. Beautiful. And they always make it so, you know, you can see them cutting the meat. Very enticing. So I think the long story super short with the true fact of what's going on here in 2022 is that people are unsure of what will happen in the future, but if you live in Istanbul, if you live in Turkey, if you're a Turkish person, this is just kind of the reality of living in this city and in this region in general. There's a lot of turmoil, there's a lot of drama. Turkish people also are emblematic of a lot of turmoil and a lot of drama, and that's just kind of the vibe that you're gonna find here. So if you come to Turkey, make sure to, you're gonna get a great deal right now, but it's realize that the people are suffering a little bit, so maybe, you know, give some decent tips if you come here. I always try to leave a little bit extra just because they need it. If you have any questions about anything about Istanbul, anything related to that, feel free to comment below. Happy to answer any questions. I have a lot of local experiences and local stories to share with you if you should need that. So if you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. It always helps me out. We are heading west now, very, very west, back to my home country for a little bit, and then to the old South America. So very, very looking forward to that. So stay tuned for lots of Spanish, lots of tapas related stuff, grilled meats, and stories about the overthrow of socialist dictators by my government. So stay tuned for that. We're gonna say bye to this sweet little lady. Hello. And we are gonna sign off. Görüşürüz one last time from Istanbul. Güle güle.